The story opens with the family enjoying an ordinary evening, completely unaware that their peaceful existence was about to shatter in ways unimaginable. David and Sarah were deep in conversation when piercing screams erupted from the street below. Rushing to their window, they witnessed chaos unfolding. Neighbors frantically loading cars, children crying, adults shouting instructions over the pandemonium. David approached his neighbor Mike, demanding answers. Why the sudden evacuation? Mike was too frantic to respond properly, but his young son Tommy blurted out what he'd overheard. His father's government contact had warned about a lethal pathogen that transformed ordinary people into something monstrous. Before David could press for details, Mike's wife Rachel grabbed Tommy, silencing him. "There's no time for explanations," she gasped. "Get Sarah and Emma out of the city, now!" The terror in her voice convinced David. Without hesitation, he bundled his family into their car and joined the exodus. Yet, something felt wrong. The same neighbors who'd fled in panic were now streaming back toward town. Traffic ground to a halt as they encountered police barricades. Officers directed everyone back into the city, claiming containment was necessary due to viral contamination. Military choppers circled overhead like mechanical vultures. David questioned the logic. If infection was the threat, why force people to remain in the contaminated zone? His answer came in the form of boulder-sized debris crashing onto their vehicle. The nearby hillside trembled, then split apart as twin fighter jets roared into view, banking sharply toward the city center. The aircraft unleashed their payload without mercy. The entire downtown district vanished in walls of flame and smoke. Sarah realized with horror that obeying the police order would have meant certain death. The jets then turned their attention to the trapped civilians on the road. Mass panic ensued as people scattered in all directions. David spotted their only chance, an abandoned school perched on the mountainside. The family raced uphill as explosions bloomed behind them, each blast closer than the last. They reached the building just as munitions began falling on the bridge they'd crossed moments before. Inside the school, Emma discovered a maintenance entrance leading to what appeared to be an old civil defense shelter. They tumbled inside seconds before the structure above them was obliterated. When the concussion wave stopped and silence returned, they found themselves sealed in an underground refuge, stocked with emergency supplies. The family struggled to comprehend the nightmare. What kind of outbreak justified genocidal measures? They had no answers, only the grim knowledge that survival meant staying hidden. The shelter contained enough canned goods and water to sustain them indefinitely, though the prospect of indefinite underground imprisonment was terrifying. Sarah worried constantly about Emma's health and her own injury, a deep gash from the closing hatch. They feared the mysterious pathogen might already be in their systems, but immediate survival took precedence. David reinforced the entrance with chains and metal bars, creating their tomb-like sanctuary. Underground life proved soul-crushing. They ate the same bland rations daily, drank murky recycled water, and played endless card games to maintain sanity. Weeks became months. They estimated over 10 months had passed when Emma finally asked the question haunting them all. "Dad, when can we go home?" David had no answer. He could only promise they'd emerge when the danger passed, then help Emma imagine the world above by covering her eyes and describing memories of sunshine and fresh air. She used Sarah's improvised periscope to observe the wasteland outside, a moonscape of ash and rubble where no life stirred. Emma began believing they were Earth's last survivors. Sarah reassured her that other families must be hiding too, though she wasn't certain herself. Their food stores dwindled as something began pilfering their supplies. They discovered multiple cans with tiny holes punched through, clearly the work of some persistent scavenger. Sarah suspected rodents had infiltrated through the ventilation system. David promised to eliminate the pest before it consumed their remaining provisions. Their chance came when Emma spotted the culprit, a gray rat attempting another raid. David lunged with a kitchen knife while Sarah flanked from the opposite side. The agile creature dodged David's strike, toppling their oil lamp in its escape. Sarah managed to kill it, but the damaged lamp ignited their table covering. David burned his hands trying to smother the flames. Sarah tore down fabric hangings to beat back the fire. They eventually extinguished it, but smoke had filled their refuge and was seeping through the air vents. The smoke would reveal their location to anyone searching the surface. They spent the night in terrified silence, hoping darkness would conceal the telltale vapors. Morning brought their worst fears. A thick column of smoke rose from their hidden position like a beacon. Sarah realized ash deposits would also mark their location. They had to venture outside and eliminate the evidence. David made Emma promise to remain below no matter what she heard. The parents unsealed their fortress and emerged into the devastated landscape to clean away the incriminating debris. Emma waited anxiously until curiosity overcame caution. Through the periscope, she watched her parents attempting to camouflage the entrance. Then she saw something that froze her blood, a dark figure moving rapidly through the distant ruins toward them. She screamed a warning, but the distance was too great. Terror overrode her promise, and she climbed out to alert them. She found the area empty. Her parents had vanished. Her desperate calls brought Sarah rushing from concealment to silence her. A stampede of deer thundered past their position moments later. The animals' obvious terror suggested they were fleeing something far more dangerous. The family retreated underground and barricaded themselves in. Soon they heard deliberate footsteps circling above, searching. The prowlers spent long minutes investigating while they cowered in darkness. Emma's cherished doll became their undoing when its string caught on a loose bolt. The tension triggered the toy's voice mechanism, filling the shelter with electronic sounds. David destroyed the doll instantly, but too late. Heavy impacts began hammering the entrance from above. Whatever hunted them had found its prey and was methodically breaking through their defenses. Chain links snapped under tremendous force as glowing eyes appeared in the widening gap. David struck blindly with a pipe, temporarily driving back their attacker. He wedged the pipe across the entrance and secured it, but their sanctuary was compromised. The creature's howls brought others. Footsteps multiplied overhead as more predators gathered. The renewed assault shattered their fortified door completely. Multiple sets of luminous eyes stared down at them as shadowy forms descended. Sarah ignited a curtain barrier, while David toppled furniture to block the passage, giving them precious seconds to reach the back of the shelter. Emma spotted a ground-level ventilation grate. David smashed it open and pushed his family through, but became wedged in the narrow opening. As the attackers closed in, he dislocated his shoulder to squeeze through, screaming from the agony. Sarah pulled him free just as claws seized his leg. He looked into his wife's eyes one final time. "Keep Emma safe, no matter what happens." The creatures dragged him back into the shelter as terrible sounds echoed from below. Sarah fled with Emma, following the sounds of David's sacrifice as he bought them escape time. They ran until they reached the city's edge, only to discover massive concrete barriers had been erected. The entire area was now a sealed prison. An approaching helicopter caught them in its searchlight. Before they could hide, a weighted net dropped from above, entangling them both. As Sarah struggled with the mesh, she saw armed figures approaching, but not the monsters she expected. These were soldiers wearing gas masks and night vision equipment. Their glowing optical devices had created the illusion of supernatural predators. The truth dawned. There were no monsters, except in the government's perception of the infected population. Blood tests confirmed their worst fears. Both Sarah and Emma carried the pathogen. The virus was airborne and highly contagious, with no known cure. Infected individuals remained asymptomatic until extreme stress triggered horrific physical transformations. The government's only solution was systematic elimination. As the soldiers prepared their execution, Sarah's face began darkening with spreading veins. But before her transformation completed, David appeared. Somehow, he'd survived and killed their captors. His own metamorphosis was far advanced, granting superhuman strength and speed, though bullets still brought him down. Sarah, now partially changed herself, rescued Emma and eliminated several more soldiers before collapsing from gunshot wounds. Emma's rage nearly triggered her own mutation, but Sarah's intervention prevented it. David died protecting his family, his sacrifice giving them one last chance to escape. They found refuge with other survivors hiding in the ruins, people like themselves who'd learned to suppress their condition through emotional control. The virus wasn't fatal, merely dormant, until activated by fear or fury. In the end, they realized the cruel irony. They'd viewed the military as monsters, while being hunted as monsters themselves. Both sides saw the other as inhuman threats to be destroyed. The real tragedy was that neither group was entirely wrong. The story concludes with the infected survivors, living like rats in the shadows of a dead city, forever hiding from those who would exterminate them, while fighting to retain their humanity against the beast within.